Three little girls are bragging about their favorite uncles. The first one said, "My uncle is totally awesome. He's a writer. He scribbles a few words, calls it a poem, and people pay him $100. The second girl said, "My uncle is better. He's a musician. He scribbles a few words, calls it a jingle, and people paid him $300. The third girl said, "My uncle is the best. He's a Jesuit priest. He scribbles a few words, calls it a homily, and it takes 8 people to collect all of the money after he has done preaching." Parents, in the words of Jesus in today's gospel, do not be afraid, for there will be no collection at this Mass. Tonight is a wonderful time to celebrate the completion of our graduate education here at LMU. It's a great time to honor them, to applaud their accomplishments, and to reflect on the past while looking forward to the future. It's also a moment to express our gratitude to the parents and loved ones for trusting in us as administrators, faculty, and staff to take care of, educate, and transform your children to be global citizens of our ever-changing world. Today's gospel reading was selected by the student members for this year's Commencement Mass Committee. It's a simple story, and yet full of richness and quality of God's revelation that begins as a private discovery and ends as a public trust. It's about fidelity, faithfulness, trusting in God, and ultimately responding to God's call, even when confronted with personal doubts or fear of the unknown. In the topsy-turvy and natural world in which we live in, it is sometimes difficult, in my opinion, to maintain trust or faith in God and in humanity. Our world is such a beautiful world with much goodness as well as chaos. When we encounter personal failures or when illness and death strike our loved ones, students, and friends, especially in unexpected and tragic circumstances, we can be like Peter, distracted and frightened by the strong winds. It is the nature of faith to waver from time to time when it steps into stressful, unfamiliar, and unbearable terrain. When the consequences of our human nature create tragedies and horrors, we look around and ask, why would a loving God allow this to happen? However, we often forget that these storms were created not by God, but by us, and that we must weather them and calm them to the best of our abilities, while relying on God's strength and providence to see us through. In my role as Assistant Dean of Students and Adjunct Professor for the Psychology Department, I've had the most wonderful privilege with journeying with many of our students while teaching, listening to their stories, pains, brokenness, hopes and dreams, and share with them mine. It is during those moments, especially moments of vulnerability, that I'm being reminded of my own humanity, while finding myself in this terrain called faith, standing on the edges of hopes and possibilities, and trusting that God is always there as I journey into the unknown. Just as Peter discovered, Jesus is always there where the boundaries are being redrawn, extending life-giving stability, when the chaos and innermost fears get the best of us. Life, as we all know, is unfair. Sometimes it hurts, but it is often in the depth and agony that we find our way by placing our trust in God. But what is trust? To trust is a bet. Each time we trust, we put ourselves on the line. If we confide in a friend, we can be betrayed. If we bet on our favorite political candidate or sports team, we can be disappointed. If we trust the world, we can be crushed. However, I believe that the alternative is worse, because if we do not put ourselves on the line, nothing will ever happen. The reality is, every act of trust carries with it a shiver of fear. That is the fear of the unknown. Trust can be costly, but I believe that it's worth betting on. To trust is like giving a gift. Whenever I'm giving the gift of trust to my students or others, I'm telling the other students, I believe in you. You are capable. You are trustworthy. The gift of trust is therefore a statement about our relationships, as it empowers the other person and expands his or her possibilities and comfort zone. I'd like to share the story about when Thomas Edison was working arduously to create the first light bulb, which took a whole team of people working 24 hours to put together one light bulb. The story goes that when Edison's team was finished with creating the first light bulb, he gave it to a young boy to carry it upstairs. Step by step, the boy carefully carried it, afraid that he might drop it, this priceless piece of creation. You can probably guess what happened afterward. The poor boy dropped the bulb at the top of the stairs. It took the team another 24 hours to make another light bulb. Tired and ready for a break, Thomas Edison was ready to have his light bulb carried upstairs again. He gave it to the same young boy who dropped the first one. That, my friends, is amazing trust. Thomas Edison gave the boy another chance and placed his trust in him. To trust is to be kind to one another. Kindness is trusting and ready to take risk. It brings us close together as people. Imagine, what does it feel like when someone we admire very much have so much faith in us, more than we have in ourselves? Most likely, we will be very happy and very uplifted because that faith helps us discover in ourselves a trait, a quality, or a gift we perhaps didn't know that we possess. To trust is to surrender. At the center of trust, we find surrender as Peter once did. We realize that we are not perfect, nor can we control everything, and that we might as well abandon certainty and in the process let ourselves go and accept what life brings us. Indeed, just when the caterpillar thought the world was coming to an end, it surrendered and became a butterfly. Dear graduates, the motto for your class is, "The world is but a canvas to our imagination." In the beauty of the enchanted scenes on your canvas of your imagination, may you always be blessed with an insatiable curiosity, a willingness to take initiative, an ability to find goodness in yourself and others, a passion and commitment to service and justice, and a desire to live a life of purpose. In the midst of much brokenness and uncertainty in our world today, may you discover and rediscover the meaning of generosity and love by putting it into practice, learning to love yourself and others with the awareness that you learn first and foremost from your own success and failures, from your own triumph and tragedies, and from your own stories and the stories of others around you. Love is not a theory. You have to live it out. And as you continue your journey in life, may you always leave your imprints on those around you and your marks upon the world with a touch of justice, compassion, kindness, and mercy. May you always have the courage to walk upon the water without fear, as Peter once did, trusting that God is there with you every step of the way. And should you ever hear others or a voice within you said, "You can't do it," then by all means, just do it. And as soon as the voice of doubt will subside and be silenced, you will be able to continue to imagine your canvas with self-confidence, creativity, and pride. Finally, in the words of an unknown author, may you always give, but do not allow yourself to be used. May you always love, but do not allow your heart to be abused. May you trust, but do not be naive. And may you listen to others, but do not lose your own voice. Indeed, this world is but a canvas to your imagination. Go Lions.